right, welcome back to Radio Row, BS3 Network. We are live in Las Vegas. We got our next guest on the show, Dr. Stacey L. Tidwell. Thank you for reaching out and coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Dr. Stacey. That's EY is actually that's my stage name, right?
You got to make sure you say it that way too.
That's EY, so people know how to spell it.
Right.
But I'm the owner and founder of Not Free Living, Not Free with a K, K-N-O-T, where we aim to inform, inspire, equip, and untie the knots that keep people bound from living the life that they desire and deserve.
Okay, preach. Say that one more time.
Take him to church.
But you're already taking meticulous notes. It's Not Free Living, where we aim to inform, inspire, equip, and untie the knots that keep people bound from living the life that they desire and they deserve.
I'm just telling you right now, she is already going to be a guest on the Queen 3 and King podcast.
Ain't the real deal.
Because
your contact.
Because when she's talking about she's a mindset coach and untying, how many times is your mindset not right because you got some stuff tied up in knots upstairs, which is the devil's number one battleground is your mind. He can't hurt you. He comes like a roaring lion. He can't really bite you, but he can make you bite yourself.
You better preach. You better preach that thing. You've already been through one of my programs. I can tell you've already been through one of my programs. You've already been able to untie some knots. I can see it. Most people don't even realize that their lives are entangled in knots. Not that type of entanglement. We ain't talking about that one.
Right.
We're talking about the other entanglement.
You're talking about them over there.
Yeah. That might be the thing that
they might need that. They need that.
Yeah, most of the time people talk about the ties that keep us, the ties that bind, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't talk about the knots that keep you bound, which is something completely separate because we don't look at that. We think that this is the way life is supposed to be. It is what it is. Life is just lifing. No, it's not. No, it's not. And if life is lifing, are you actually living? Which is why I say that you have to have a knot-free life. You can have things that are tied up in you, but you cannot be bound by the knots that keep you and hinder you from whatever success that you define it as.
Right.
Well, if you talk about life, how do you balance that life? I know that's a question that we all are trying to figure it out. But how do you balance that with all the things you got going on, teaching, mentoring, all those things?
Yeah, and before you start answering that, I'm going to tag team on that question because you got a lot, especially in our community, a lot of entrepreneurs. Okay, I can say it another way. See, you're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You got some entrepreneurs, okay? So it's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and they don't understand there's a work-life balance that still has to take place, even when it's your own stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Because your spouse or significant other may not be as passionate about your as you are.
That's right.
So go for it.
So here's the thing that people need to realize. We are never prepared for the things that we do in life. Ever.
That's a word by itself.
We expect things to just happen for us, right? And I remember when I started on this journey, I had lots of conversations with my husband to make sure he was on board before I jumped into this thing, because I knew ultimately I wanted to quit my corporate 9-to-5. And I knew that my husband was going to look at that corporate 9-to-5 check.
Right. Yeah.
And say, you want to do what?
Yeah.
But what about, right? Because we're a 2-income household, right? Reality is we're a 2-income household. Do we have to be? No, but in order to live the lifestyle that we've become accustomed, we need those 2 incomes. So I had to have some real conversations, and my conversations were about what I wanted our lives to look like. Now, the challenge was I didn't know what getting on the other side of that actually looked like, right? I said, well, when I hit $500,000, I'm going to quit the corporate job. And then $500,000 in my business didn't equate to $500,000 in my account.
Wow.
Because you got to spend money to make money. And nobody taught me that. So that was a challenge for me. So I said, okay, well, $500,000 is not enough. I got to hit $1 million. Well, I hit $1 million in my company, but I spent $999,999 to do it.
So at least that's what we told IRS.
You know. So it was a matter of creating not only the balance for me mentally, the balance for me emotionally, the balance for me spiritually, the balance for me physically, because working long hours, you're not exercising and
Right.
taking care of your physical being. The balance for me nutritionally, because I'm working so long, I forget to eat because I've got meetings back, right? It's all of that. So what I have found is there is no such thing as balance. There's a such thing as harmony. How are these things flowing together harmoniously? Because if you're looking for balance, you're going to always be lopsided.
Right. Balance, yeah.
You're always going to be imbalanced. So if you find the harmony and finding a synchronicity and making all of these things work together, then you find that you're at a level of success that is defined by you, not by the world, not assimilating to a world that doesn't work for you. Right? Because you got a whole lot of people on social media. Hey, I'm out on the beach. I'm out on vacation. I'm in Jamaica.
Living their best life.
Yeah, and I'm broke at the house.
I didn't pay my mortgage and my rent this month.
Don't write your letters to me.
But this is the reality, right? People take social media as real life, and it's not.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's real life.
Before we get too far down the road, what part of the country are you from originally?
So,
because that obviously has a lot to do with how we have a mindset. And I would imagine in some of your sessions or when you're dealing with a client, you better be asking that question.
yes.
Because it can change a whole lot, right?
Yes. So I live in Atlanta, Georgia,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But I was
A-town.
born and raised in Columbus, Ohio,
Oh, wow.
home of the
Don't say it.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay.
Home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And as a Midwesterner, which I've never understood why that's considered Midwest, but that's another, that's geography. I'm more about psychology.
Yeah, right on.
But as a Midwesterner, there's a different mindset that we had in Columbus, Ohio than when I moved to Georgia, what that mindset was. Very different. And so even going through that transition was very difficult for me, right? So what people have to understand is with the program that I created called the Tree of Humanity, it's a trademark program that I developed. And in that program, I take people through the process of a tree. The tree has 4 main parts. We all know them. They're the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. The roots of the tree, as it relates to us as humans, is your foundational belief structure. We were all taught to believe something from birth, historically, familial, and societal. All of us have those root systems. That is what we build our life upon. And then we have the trunk, which is our human conditions. Our human conditions, there's 12 of them. I'm not going to go through them all, but they impact all of us. Financial, that's a major one.
Oh, yeah.
Relational, spiritual, right? And again, there's 12 of them, so I won't cover them all, but physical, nutritional, etc., right? Then there is our branches. Now, our branches feed off of the trunk, just like a regular tree.
Right.
That's our emotions and our feelings. We've been taught to feel a certain way about our human conditions, whatever they are at the time. And then you get to the important part, the real important part, which is the leaves, also known as the crown. The crown is your behavior and your attitude. It's how you show up in the world. And that's based upon the feelings and emotions that you have, which is based upon the human condition that you're living in, which is based upon what you've been taught to believe about it all.
It's all intertwined.
It's all intertwined. And so I have a process called tracing your tree. And it's funny because people who know me, my clients, my husband, my colleagues, we go around and say to each other, you need to trace your tree on that one.
I'm going to start using that.
I know, right? You need to trace your tree.
Yes.
I can tell right now with the way that you're showing up, you need to trace your tree. And what that means is get down to the root of what's causing you to think the way you're thinking and behave the way you're behaving and show up the way you're showing up. Because when we say, he made me mad. No, he didn't make you mad. You were already mad. What he did was activated what was already in you, because something external can only penetrate what's already internal.
Come on.
Okay, now I sound like I'm preaching.
You sound like my wife. She always says, what's the root of the issue?
Exactly.
Because you overreacting, you getting upset is just a cause and effect of what the actual root causes.
Yeah, I just put the ketchup in the pantry. We really talking about this right now?
You talking about ketchup?
But it doesn't go in the pantry. It goes in the refrigerator once it's open. Why would you put
Right.
My wife, she's here. She would say, it goes in the pantry. I accidentally the other day put it in the
what I'm
refrigerator.
saying?
I grew up with it in the refrigerator, so
And they almost would cancel this trip to
yeah.
Las
Only thing with that
Vegas.
trip, just some ketchup. I'm talking about ketchup. Like Irish said, ketchup.
We talking about practice. Practice, like
That's that foundational belief structure. You were taught to believe that ketchup goes in the pantry. She was taught to believe, or you thought it goes in the refrigerator. She was taught to believe it goes in the pantry, right? Same thing with peanut butter, right? And so people have these arguments, and they're really thinking that they're arguing about peanut butter or ketchup. It has nothing to do with the peanut butter or ketchup.
Right.
It has everything to do with what you've been taught to believe. So it's a whole, there is no right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah, and speaking of those differences, okay, so number one, our minds are rigged to self-justify.
Absolutely.
You can do the exact same thing I did, and I'll crucify you, but if I do it, but my day was long. I was sick at the time. I was drunk at the time. I was whatever, right? So our minds are rigged to self-justify. But if you don't understand where you come from, not only geographically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you don't understand where you come from, there is no way you can properly navigate your life today.
Absolutely.
Right? The difference between being a guy with 4 or 5 siblings is much different than if my spouse was an only child.
Absolutely.
See, we're not talking loud right now. This is how we talk to be heard in our family.
Right.
Why are you yelling at me? I'm not yelling, baby. I grew up with 7 kids. If I wanted another pork chop, I better speak up, right? Or if I wanted somebody on the other side of the room or whatever, there's a difference. And if you don't understand those basic fundamental differences that we cannot be charged with,
Absolutely.
right? We can't be charged. Misdemeanors are all felonies with those. I couldn't control where I came from.
Right.
So, but you got to understand those in order to properly navigate today. Share your thoughts when you hear me say that, how that resonates with you.
I was triggered. No, I'm joking. No, my husband and I have had this conversation several times because one of the things that I don't do is inner room conversations. I don't do that.
Oh, wow.
If we're not in the same room, we can't have a conversation. That whole yelling through the house
or
thing,
texting each other now, and you're in the same house, and y'all arguing by text.
Once you can't hear each other anyway.
And I'm a firm believer. If I'm sitting right next to you, you ain't gonna be as mad at me as you are when you're in that other room. Because I feel like I got a touch that the Lord gave me.
Right.
That's gonna mean something.
Like the song.
He said lay hands on the sick. Lay hands on the sick and they shall recover.
See, this is okay. So, folks, anybody listen, this is what I want you to know. What he just did is called eisegesis. It is putting meaning inside of the scriptures that the scriptures were not intended for. That's called eisegesis.
Hey, Revelation said that was gonna happen.
There you go. Now we're bringing up another book. We always gonna put the meaning in to make it fit our argument.
Our narrative, right?
That's exactly. But I often tell people, stop making excuses and call them reasons.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow.
We are really good at doing that.
Yeah.
We make excuses and then we call them reasons. Well, the reason I did that, the excuse that you want to give right now. There's a big difference.
Yes.
Right.
There's a big difference. So one of the things that we have to realize is when someone tells us that we're in a relationship with, when someone tells us that something doesn't work for them, we need to listen to that.
Oh, that's what's up.
We need to listen to that.
I like that. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong. It means that something that you're doing is not cohesive with my foundational belief structure. So how can we find common ground so that we can make this thing work?
Right.
And that goes with work relationships, personal relationships, community relationships. That goes with all relationships and human interactions as a whole.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we have to be mindful of when we're engaging with other people.
Right.
Love it.
And since we're here at the Super Bowl, how does this relate to athletes?
I'm so glad you asked.
He's a professional. That's called a transition. You understand what I'm saying? See, we didn't just get here. Huh?
We here.
The tree of humanity. I now have the athletic tree of humanity. Because one of the things that I learned from working with athletic clients is that when you're an athlete, you're typically out of the womb as an athlete.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
It's
that's
you're-
right.
You're a
You
freak
think-
athlete. You're
I-
the best at every point in time.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so you operate your whole life as an athlete.
Yeah.
But the world does not
Well,
have an
yeah.
athletic mindset.
Right.
Not
So the
everybody's
rules-
thinking like that.
Exactly. The rules that you have in the game that you play are not the same rules that apply for life.
Right.
And so how do you transition when you're coming off of the field, when you're coming off of the court? How do you transition into going to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't expect that there's going to be a commentator following you doing play-by-plays, right?
Right.
And then saying that when someone cuts you off on the road, they're going to give a play-by-play of how that they were. Oh, that's that's not the way life works.
Right. And you can't have that same intensity. The
Exactly.
intensity that you have when you play football or basketball, you can't have that when you
Go
walking
back.
around. When you go into your kid's school, you can't have that same intensity.
But a lot of athletes do.
True.
A lot
they
of
don't know how to
athletes
cut
do.
it off.
Exactly. So you have to have the preparation before, during, and after. And unfortunately, we're not catching a lot of players before. And unfortunately, in most cases, they're not open to it during.
Right.
Because you've got so many cheerleaders telling you you're
Right,
right, you're the
right.
best, you're the greatest, that you don't want to hear, let me cover your blind spots.
And after, it's too late at that
And then
point.
after, it's too late.
Right.
Right. So I'm trying to catch people earlier on so that we can have these conversations and give them strategies so that they can transition while they're playing sports, after they're playing sports, so that you don't end up in financial ruin, so that you don't end up with addiction, so that you don't end up in domestic violence situations, so that you don't end up with suicidal or homicidal ideation.
She needs to be NFL Players Association every year when they got a new rookie class.
Yeah.
They
You need to
have
talk to them.
they have panels and discussions, and they need to be in a room with her on the stage with one of the NFLPA
Yes.
employees, reps, directors, whatever, having this same type of a conversation,
Absolutely.
just talking to you and letting them listen to this.
How can we make that happen?
Really,
That's the question.
Make it happen. Sign
Well,
me
we're
up.
gonna
Make it
now.
happen.
We're yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you like this business, all business as far as I'm concerned, is about relationships.
Absolutely.
I wrote down for a future use the other day, I said, in any walk of life, if you're not good, matter of fact, it was when I went live here first yesterday, I said it's about building relationships. And no matter what we're talking about, romantic, family, from a business standpoint, doesn't matter. Building relationship is a foundational need, right, for us.
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to do here is build relationships. So I'm telling you right now, when we build a relationship with NFLPA reps, okay, and in fact, I actually know somebody who works in the NFL office. But I'm telling you right now, when I get into a position to be able to pass that along, I'm passing that along. You know why? Because I'm a natural giver.
Yes.
Giving is why we're here right now today.
Absolutely.
You understand? It's the reason why we've arrived here today, because we're givers at our core. Okay, and so here go. I ain't trying to make the word fit; it just fits. Give, and I'll give unto you good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and over, running over. See, this just shaking together; it ain't running over yet. But when we get to that point, I promise you, I'm gonna put you in the hands. If I get somebody in my hands that can get that done,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put them in your hands because it's gonna help somebody else. So what I've just
Absolutely.
done then is I've given. It wasn't directly,
Right.
Yeah.
but I've given for generations.
Yes.
So what that's gonna mean for my generation
They'll be given unto
and
you.
my generation, my kids and their grandkids.
And you didn't put the text in that when you actually exegeted the text. You drew the meaning out and had the word stand on
Play
its
that
own.
beat right quick. I just exegeted in this.
Put that drop on.
Exactly. And I think the bigger picture is this helps the league. This helps the NFL.
Absolutely.
No
Because
doubt.
when
No
you have a
doubt.
situation, John Morant, you know John Morant?
Mhm,
I want to
yes.
get your thoughts on that. When you have a situation like that, it looks bad on me in the NBA as well. Because you draft this guy, you bring him in, you think
Give them all that money.
Yeah, you give him all this
Yeah.
money. You think in college, like everything's gonna be good.
Right.
So talk about John Morant. What is it? What needs to change in his mindset?
So, again, athletes are athletes from birth. There has been a lot of pomp and circumstance, and unfortunately, with athletes, they get a little puffed up in the head
Yeah.
because of all the people that are around them.
Yeah.
And you just said it. You then pay all of this money to somebody, right? Because you're treating them like a machine. You're really just putting food. You're fueling the machine.
Putting coins in there.
That's exactly what you're doing. And then the expectation is that machine is going to have a positive output.
Yeah, it's going to be mature when it's not necessarily mature.
Yeah, and
I'm
I'm
giving
gonna.
money to a kid at the end of the day. And the parents are like, what you gonna give me? Like, I need some Jordans too. I need a car too.
The parents, the friends, the cousins, the uncles, the play uncle, the real uncle, right? All of those come out of the woodwork. There's no mental preparation for that though.
Yeah.
There is no mental preparation. There needs to be a mentor and a coach, someone who is going alongside and being a coach all along the way with these players.
Right.
That says, let me.
Right.
You may be great in playing the game, but you're not great because you're not skilled yet, experienced yet. You don't have enough wisdom to play the game of life. So they need someone to be there with them every step of the way. And when you don't have that, those foundational beliefs resurface.
Right. And let me drop this on you too, because again, I'm a giver by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, I don't just think how I can get my pockets fat. I don't just think about how I can build a relationship. I don't just think about how I can be impactful in life. I'm going to tell you like this. We just talked about NFLPA and being exposed to many.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to teach you about how to get exposed to a few before they even get there. And that's getting with agents.
Yes.
Lee Steinberg and Scott Boris and Rock Nation and whatnot. Okay. And hey, we got a Black-owned sports agencies that ought to be, because guess what? You're making their clients better for them too.
Absolutely.
I can make your clients listen to you more than they're going to listen to you right now.
Absolutely.
If you get me in there as part of your program that I offer as this sports agency,
yes.
I'm going to have you talk to this young lady.
Absolutely.
Even if it's once a month.
Absolutely.
I want you to chop it up with her.
Absolutely. Yeah, because our program is for a year.
Yeah.
So you go through it for a year. And what I do is I teach you to not have to need me for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If I give you the foundational work and teach you the strategies of how to do this for yourself, you'll learn how to trace your own tree. But not only that, you learn how to trace other people's tree, because all of my clients that have been through this program now look at people and they say, I don't even see them as human anymore. I automatically see them as a tree.
Wow.
They automatically see, the moment they have a conversation with somebody, they can trace their foundational belief structure. They look at the behavior and they're like, yeah, they grew up in a 2-parent household. Yeah, they grew up in a single-parent household. They didn't have any money. They didn't have good relationships. They yelled at each other. Fighting was a sport for them. So you then start to see people differently, which makes you respond differently, because then you're able to show some grace and some patience that you wouldn't have been able to do before.
Right. And when you trace your tree, that'll force you to trace your kids' tree and make them better.
That sounds like an Erykah Badu sound.
Yeah.
When you trace your tree, play some bass with that. Huh?
What am I supposed to do
with this tree?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely, and you're setting a new foundation.
Yes,
You're setting a new foundation, and you're changing the foundational belief structure, not from the roots of familial, historical, societal, but you're changing the content within.
Right, and that's the legacy part.
Absolutely.
When we think legacy, we think money. Like, I'm passing this money down. But the legacy is passing down a mindset to your a different type of thinking.
A healthy mindset. A healthy mindset.
Right.
Yeah, let's give a bit of a shout out to some of the viewers. We got Eric Butler Sr. in the building. This is one of the BS3 network hosts to the show called Perspective. Okay, which being Suttereth and myself happen to be the executive producers on. But anyway, this particular gentleman, when I say Eric, y'all need to have her on your show as well. So I'm going to make that connection because your viewers need to see this. So what's up with you, Eric? Thank you for tuning in. Man.
You're going to be busy for the next couple of weeks. I know with these shows.
But we don't pay nothing to have y'all know. We gonna give you this little gift bag when we get out here, and that's it. You better make that last.
It's a good thing that I know I'm on this planet for impact and imprint, to make a positive impact and leave a positive imprint on the world. So I don't look for anything outside of that except for what I need to run my household, obviously.
Right.
But you know, the whole reason that we're here is to impact the lives of others and leave an imprint on this world as a whole. And I truly believe that, which is why I do the work that I do and why I'm so passionate about it. So when I always tell people, because they say, well, how long does your program take? And I said, well, you know, we need to stop trying to use microwave solutions for oven-baked problems. It's been going on for a year.
Instant,
years. You know, that instant gratification of a microwave solution when you got a whole oven-baked problem. You've been preheated, you've been placed in the oven, and then we had to take you out and let you cool off a little bit. And now you want to use a microwave. It like does not work.
You want to solve it like that. That's fine.
Exactly. So the program takes the time that it takes. And again, it's so that it can impact the generations to come, so that you can have healthy foundations moving forward.
Yes. So where can everybody find you, follow you, and what do you have coming up this week or in the future?
So you want to play? My website is www.notfreeliving. Again, we're untying knot.
Come on.
Notfreeliving.
K-N-O-T.
K-N-O-T. F-R-E-E living, right? Because we're living not free. And I'm on all social media platforms as Stacey, that's E-Y. Again, got to make sure people spell my name right. Stacey, that's E-Y on all social media platforms. And I have a ton of things coming up. I have a lot of keynotes coming up. I have an event in Atlanta on March the 1st and the 2nd called Coffee and Conversations. Who told you you were naked? I want y'all to do that again because y'all did that.
I want to look away from the camera.
That could go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's going like here.
It's about foundational.
I got shame quick. I felt like Adam when he took him. You know, who told you was naked?
You said he was a giver by nature. He meant to say naughty by nature. But
it's called Who Told You Were Naked, and we're actually deconstructing the foundational belief structure, getting to the root of what people have been taught to believe about themselves and the world around them. So it's work. It's not just people getting up on stage speaking and you just watching and clapping. This is about work. There's workbooks. There's work that's going to be done through this whole day course where people are really learning to start unpacking some things. Absolutely.
Right. But when you're in Dallas, DFW area, let us know.
Okay,
I'm gonna give you cards and stuff to make sure you can get a hold of us. We want to have you on the podcast. So we'll get with you. Okay, but we're going to exchange information. But
and I got family. My parents live in Atlanta. I went to college at Morehouse, so I was there.
My daughter's
4.5 years.
My daughter's. He said 4.5 years.
My daughter wouldn't be happy about that one, but anyway.
That's all right. That's right. My daughter's a Spelman graduate.
Okay. My sisters went to Spelman.
Okay. What year did you come out of Morehouse?
What
year did you come out of Morehouse?
2005.
My daughter graduated from Spelman 2005.
Really? Wow. Don't ask me the question.
But she wasn't. I wasn't.
Morehouse. I can tell you right off the bat, Spelman did a better job of teaching your daughter than Morehouse did him. I promise you. We done figured that out over the last.
I was going to throw just a little bit of shade and say, but she was only in for 4 years, not 4.5.
See, that's my point. Eric put on there, he got touched by this comment too. He goes, looking for microwave solutions for an oven baked problem. Dr. Stacey L. Tidwell, hashtag bar. But it's oven baked problem, not oven made. But that's fine. You come from somewhere different than we come from. He went to Texas Tech, so that's way different. That's a what they call it, PWI, as opposed to
right, HBCU. But I think you.
I'm just trying to see if y'all have some open availability. We got you all covered.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can look at the schedule. We can look at the schedule. Yeah.
All right.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Any takeaways you want to give to the viewers?
So I end everything. I end all of my posts, all of my sayings, all of my classes with this last thing that I'm going to leave you with. And that is make today better than yesterday. Strive for an even better tomorrow because mindset is everything.
I love it.
Preach. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV. BS3 Network. Changing the